Hello, hello. So my name's Henry. Welcome to The Good Life by Design. And I am really, really excited. Special superstar here. We've got Adrienne Dodd, that's actually Hamish's mother. And today we're just going to have a general chit chat about everything, kind of what we feel is going on in the design industry and her experiences. She's got an absolute wealth. So hello, Adrienne. How are you going?
Good, thank you, Henry. It's been a little while since we've spoken.
Just a tad. So it's really, really good. Look, I think, so how long have you been in the design field?
Oh, golly, I'm going to say about 35 years.
So why did you get into it?
It's probably just a love of all design, really. And you know how I think I sort of almost fell into it initially. I probably didn't realize how much it meant to me. And I did pharmacy to start with. I was actually a pharmacist technician, yes. So when I was young, I used to spend all my lunch breaks going into interior design shops. And there worked a lot in Auckland. I worked in Remuera, and I'd be in there and I'd be looking and loving and all the rest. And then I went to Australia to live for a short time, and which is where we had Hamish actually, and carried on doing pharmacy, but really became very aware of architecture over there and all those sorts of things. And we came back to New Zealand, and I thought, golly gee, I've been missing what I should be doing all along. And so consequently got into it and studied, and here I am.
No, because it's absolutely fantastic. I think one thing, and we're just going to touch a bit on age because, for me, having spoken to you, kind of idolize you a bit. You've got so much wonderful experience. And I think, kind of it's often, generations over 50 are forgotten about, but you've got this amazing wealth of knowledge, but you've got a courage. I find you fascinating because your idea of color, you're not scared of it. And so how did your style develop?
I think because I do love color, but I think why I do reasonably well with what I do, I think, is because I don't channel myself down one direction.
Yeah.
I'm not fixed. I like timeless pieces. I do like my jobs to look like in 10 years time you'll still enjoy them, and they're not going to be dated, but I like adding a little bit of a punch to it, which is more current. So and I think with a lot of color work, which is slowly coming back, and it's really hard getting color back into people's lives. I think people are scared of it.
You actually went really bold with your kitchen, didn't you? Isn't it bright red?
Oh no, not my kitchen. No, I've got a living room and a dining room. I've got a living room which is the most beautiful red, and a dining room which is a lovely shade of blue. Now look, this was done, I'm going to say, 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I tell you, they still look pretty gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I don't feel inclined to change them. And I think if you do it right, and you can work with it, you can change curtains, you can change furniture and all the rest, but fundamentally there's a lot of things that really do stand the test of time.
No, definitely. And I think, kind of with age, you've just got such a wealth of experience, and you've seen so many different styles. And do you think it's really important to have that sort of experience?
Well, I think so. I mean, obviously everybody's got to gain, all these new young designers coming through have got to gain some experience, but I think they've got to be prepared to walk slowly, really, softly with all of this, and listen and observe and look at how it's done, because they all are trained, and and if the client often, if they don't want to go along with what the designer's putting forth, they get very upset. Where I think we've got my generation, probably in the way we were trained. I mean, it's at the end of the day, whoever you're working with, it is actually their house or their property or business or whatever you're working in. And so you've got to always remember that. And I think that comes with maturity, to remember when to step back, when to guide, when to give an opinion, and not enforce your own opinion on somebody else totally. And that just comes with experience, I think.
Yeah, but do you feel you've got, you know, with risk taking, I think there's a lot of design now that can be slightly too safe. You know, what do you feel about that? You know,
oh, I agree, and I think, and that's where that's where we come into it, and I think that's where you've got to, you've got to make your client trust you and be confident with you, and that's a respect thing between the two of you. And I think, and I just had somebody say to me yesterday, actually, a client that I've been dealing with off and on for a few years, and she said after we're discussing something, and she was wanting somebody, it's, you know, this is friends, you know, friends always get involved in people's houses, you know. And I used to say, well, don't listen, you know, don't tell too many people what you're doing, because sometimes I remember always being told, the neighbour next door, don't tell your neighbour. So something we were taught when we were being trained, because sometimes it's jealousy hits in here, and they say, oh no, I don't like that, and it's only because they're a little jealous if that's what you're doing. But what she said to me was, because a friend had said to her, oh, this is another new product that I'm seeing that, and I'm going to have this because my builder or somebody said to me, you know, this is what you need to use. And I agree, it's a flooring system, and this particular job, we were going to do tiles on the floor, and it was a whole new kitchen, big living space, and we picked a beautiful tile. We probably did that 6 months ago. It's taken her a long time to get across the line to do this lovely new kitchen, because other things have come along. Anyway, so she threw this at me, you see, and I thought, oh, well, I had to be honest. I thought, oh, golly. We're having this tile, but I didn't say that to her. And I said, look, I'm happy to have a look at it. And I said, but I think this is the way to go. And we will put underfloor heating under the tiles if that's going to be a little bit of an issue, et cetera, et cetera. She said, Adrienne, that's what I like about you. She says, I like working with you because I think I will probably end up doing the tiles, but you know, you listen to me and you don't say, no, you can't have that. So, and it's true. It is about listening to your client. But, you know, at the end of the day, you have to push their button a little bit. And I mean, I'm asserting myself. I really want them to have the tile, and ultimately they will have the tile, I'm sure. But it's just how you go about it.
Yeah.
And people do want you to push their button. I mean, they don't want you to say yes to every idea that they come up with. Otherwise, why would they be employing you?
Oh,
and
definitely.
You know,
because Adrienne, I think kind of one huge trend, and I think it's kind of the confidence. I also think, you know, as people are, you know, kind of building forever homes, they're getting more adventurous. So what are your ideas on pattern? Because I absolutely love wallpaper, and I do like curtains. I mean, I'm a bit of a magpie anyway when it comes to color. And I think, you know, having a touch of it is always a positive.
Oh, look, you know, I love pattern, but it's not easy always to get it across the table with people. It's how you use it. And it's like, I think the important thing is to have, if you're having pattern, you can't just have it on one spot. You've sort of got to balance it out somewhere else within the room. And same with color. You wouldn't have a block of color at a window and everything else be neutral, because all your eye would just be going to that window, for example, that window dressing.
No, and I think that's one key trend, which I like, and I know we have talked about it in the past, feature walls versus just doing the whole lot. Personally, I think all 4 walls, if you don't.
Oh, definitely. I think it's been years since I've done a feature wall.
Yeah,
absolutely years, and I would say no. Way better to wrap the color around. The odd time you might, if you found an amazing wallpaper that was more of a scene or something like this, you could probably do one wall of that, but the other walls need to be of color. You know, you wouldn't put
definitely.
To make it feel comfortable and just look amazing. And there are some beautiful wallpapers every day. Every time I go into a supplier and I see these incredible wallpapers, and I think, oh God, it'd be lovely to use them, but it's not the I wish more people would use them. I actually think in the South Island wallpapers are used a lot more than they are. Probably a lot of the older styles of houses and things.
Definitely, but it does seem to be growing, I think, people's confidence. There has been this issue of you know, people worried about resale, and so they've gone quite conservative, but hopefully they'll push it a bit more.
Well, I just think people have got to, I mean, sometimes you've got to remember you're doing the house for you. I mean, if it's a spec that you're going to be flicking on in well, people won't be doing that, will they, in a couple of years now? Anyway, they've got to hold on to houses a bit longer. But yeah, remember who you're doing it for. Don't always be thinking about, well, is it going to be liked by the next person that buys it? Do it for yourself. You're living in the house. Do it.
Oh,
Take the
definitely.
risk and enjoy.
Oh, I think that's where what people have forgotten. Because so the statement, do you think design is an emotion? It's a reflection of who you are. Do you think that is an important feature?
Well, I think it is an important feature. So that's something, I mean, honestly, when you're a person that's working with a designer, you've got to have connection there to make sure you do, as I say, bring in what the actual client wants and that emotion there. But I think often people don't know what they like. It's like, you might show them, you say to them, all right, okay, do you like florals or do you like checks or, and they'll say, oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't know. And then when you show them some beautiful patterns on wallpaper or some beautiful fabrics, they say, oh gosh, I love that. And there they are. They've shown you a lovely plaid or something that they never thought they even liked. But they actually do, because people don't know. They need to be shown sometimes. You don't know until you get that feeling, as you're right. It's an emotion. You'll see something and you fall in love with it.
Yeah, and kind of as a starting point, what would your suggestion be? Do you start with a wallpaper? Do you start with a pattern of a curtain? Do you start with, a furniture item and start building? Or
well, I think it's all very much depends whether if you're going into just to do one room or you're doing a whole house or it's a whole new build, Henry. Let's start with like a new build, for example. I think there's a lot of things that we need to discuss early, but I mean, obviously this maybe color doesn't come into it at that stage, but it is. I mean, often people anyway do have a piece of furniture they want to take with them into a house, or they really love it. They don't want to change it. They love it. They don't mind possibly getting it reupholstered or fixed up in some way. You might end up working around that. Often it could be art that people have.
Yeah.
You might see something. Sometimes it's just, I mean, I can sometimes go into a house and I'm going to be doing something. I'm thinking, it doesn't always necessarily come to me straight away, what I'm going to do. But the moment I leave and then I start thinking about it, and then I can just sometimes walk in somewhere and I think, that's what I'm going to start with. And it might be a piece of fabric. And then you just pick up all your colors from that. And then I go back. I like to give it some thought. As a designer, I'm not a person that generally would walk into somebody's house and say, okay, I'll do this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
I like to step back. I mean, we obviously talk about certain things, but I definitely need to step back and think about it, and then away we go.
Yeah.
And I think if you do give it some thought rather than being impulsive.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing, I probably don't get it with the slightly more mature people, but with the younger age group, and I'm dealing with all sorts of ages, Pinterest, you see, which I think is great for people to look at, but people are getting confused with it.
Oh, definitely.
They have all these pages. They put this on a page. Nothing is cohesive. And I think it's a tool, but it's a tool that's been thought of as being too valuable. And I don't think, I think we're putting too much, I don't even go to it. I don't need to, I don't think. I mean, maybe I should look at it more, but I don't. It's very confusing for people. And they think they can do it themselves, and then they end up calling us in because they make mistakes.
Yeah.
They've got a mismatch of things. I don't mind I like eclectic rooms, don't get me wrong. And I like and as a person, I like stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I've put
you passed it on.
I think I passed it on to a son, where he likes stuff too.
Yeah.
And I sort of can't quite get it when people don't like stuff. But I can admire nice clean lines too. But I think it's things that you have and stuff around you that gives a personality to a house.
Yeah.
I like photos around. And I encourage people to go and get some photos framed and have an area that they are.
Definitely. Hey, look, Adrienne, I think one thing that's really important to me, kind of through LifeMark, I've become involved in universal design, which brings the whole idea of ease of use, but kind of just appreciating the diversity of different people's needs, and building that in. I think for the time that I've known Hamish, one thing that's really shone through is his love for you, and his love for design. And I know, kind of initially it might have been quite a challenging sort of area, but you know, you're living in a household with 3 generations. How are you finding it?
Love it, you see.
Yeah.
And yet I would never have thought, well, I never anticipated this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And I think it's going to be more and more of it. And I think, and look, gosh, Hamish and I are working together. We're living together.
Yeah.
And we've got Hamish's son. And I think, I'm sure there's times that they probably think, oh gosh, there's mum. But it's really good. And I think, and we gain from each other.
Oh, I think there's kind of, because I know Hunter, there's just, one thing that I think's kind of been forgotten is, life isn't over until it's over, but there's so much value and experience and wisdom and, kind of a shared love. And I know Hunter, your grandson, I know he would just get so much out of having you around.
Oh, yeah.
And even Hamish, he mentioned that, I think you hug every day,
Oh, exactly. And I think that's
importance of having.
Well, touching is, I think touching is something that we all need. And I think for people on their own, this is what they're not getting.
Definitely.
I've got the odd couple of friends who are on their own, and, one once said to me, she said, "Oh, just give me a hug." She said, I just need a hug. And I think, it's really important. But I think it's just sharing. I think we need to, and I think we're going to see more and more of it.
Definitely.
Of intergenerations living together. I do. I mean, it's not probably been in a lot of us, our culture and things, but I think we're getting more accepting. I mean, probably once upon a time, people would be embarrassed to say, oh, you're still living with your parents, or you're doing this and that, but it's not like that now. People are probably almost envious of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm at a different situation. So my mum, she's by herself and she lives in another location, but kind of for me to keep her in her home is her castle, and for her mental well-being.
It's important.
And it was really actually important, because you're thinking just to have her things out in the personality, that's the connection to life, and so bring it out. So kind of, what have you found though, kind of living together? Has it affected the way, because I've spoken to Hamish, and one problem with intergenerational is perhaps just having your spaces, your individual. It's fantastic being together, but sometimes you just need kind of silence. And having Hunter around, he'll need to make noise sometimes. And have you found that, and has that affected your design?
Oh, affected my design? Well, no, probably indirectly it does a little bit. Because yes, make sure you do become more aware of individual areas, and then it's really nice, obviously, and then it probably does. Yeah. I think we bring in probably what I like to see now is a joint area that everybody can mix and mingle, but then to be able to have your own space off from there. I think probably how we are living and such, though, we're able to do that because of the environment. I mean, what this house is like, we can have our own space quite easily.
Yeah, because I think, kind of another thing for me, the whole intergenerational thing, it's quite easy to forget the different needs. So universal design, it's about, kind of creating adaptive spaces. So, perhaps a bathroom, just having, walk-in showers without trip hazards, trying to remove stairs, and anything like that. So if there does come a time with mobility issues, which could be, if you require a walking frame, wheelchair, pregnancy, if someone breaks their
Oh,
leg,
exactly.
suddenly stairs, they may be a nice feature, but suddenly they become the biggest horror in the house. So, kind of, it's the interesting thing about you is having three very different, kind of sets of requirements and how to create a cohesive sort of working environment within the home.
It is. I think one of the things too, we're lucky, and I think we're seeing it in universal design too, as in this particular house, even though it's trying to think, probably about 36 years old, is we have a wide hallway going transit, and I think there's a lot of houses that have far too narrow hallways. Where we are really lucky, we have a wide hallway, and I think this is something that from day one, if somebody was building and asking, it'd be very important to me to have good spaces between, so that good for moving, not too narrow. It just makes it easier if there was needed to be a wheelchair and everything else. So today, as much as anything too, I would encourage everybody to have a walk-in, if they can, a walk-in shower. It's just something to preempt and think, because you could have a broken leg. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what age you are. It makes life easier for everybody, really.
And I think, kind of universal design for me, it's about creating spaces that enable dignity, and sovereignty, really. I've noticed with my mother, she's starting to gain an anxiety with obstacles. She's worried about steps, worried about slipping on something. And a lot of that's just bad design choices, but even it affects everyone, and you never know when your circumstances are going to change. That's where it's not so much an age thing, so for me, white on white, same colors is a bit of an issue because I do wear glasses. So color contrast for me, I just prefer things to pop. Having light switches and door handles at the same level, well,
those are things that, they should just be done correctly without saying, shouldn't they?
Oh, definitely. And it's
and you've really got to watch it, because it's staggering how many. I went to a house the other day that to do work in, and gosh, you open the front door and there on the wall, back bang in the middle, on the side, there's a light switch in the middle of the wall. That's where the light switch is for that whole area. And I said, well, and it was above a table. And I said to him, that's got to be changed. And it's just, this is a new renovation. How it got through, I don't know, because they need to put a bit of art on that on this wall, or a mirror or something. You just don't have this light switch in a silly spot. But to me, electricians, this is training that's got to go right through. You've all got to become aware of where it's not even a convenient spot. And I thought, where's the thought in that?
No, and I think it's kind of designing intelligently, but just acknowledging people. I think, kind of one thing that people forget, and it's probably the wrong word for you, you're a bit of a hero, and I think you're hot. Your mind is still so sharp, you're so alive, you're adventurous and things like that. And, often with age, it's a forgotten generation. It's, it can have negatives, but, I think you definitely prove it wrong, and kind of with your experience, you're bringing so much to the table.
I haven't entered a work situation with clients ever feeling like, obviously back when I was doing it, I was only like mid-30s and what have you, and 40s and that. Obviously age doesn't even enter your thought, I suppose, of who you're dealing with, whether it be a 60-year-old or a 25-year-old, when you're that age. Now I've come to my age, it doesn't actually enter my head, but I sometimes think no one's ever made me feel like, oh, I don't know whether I want you, because when I see how old you are, because most of Hamishs in my work always comes from referrals. It's just somebody's given our name and recommended us, or they've seen what we've done, etc. And I'm probably now working with a lot of people that are, could be 20 years younger than I am, and but they've never felt. And then sometimes they'll say, they'll talk about their mother or something and all the rest. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm the same age as their mother. And yet they wouldn't be asking their mother for this advice, you know, and you end up, so yeah, I certainly don't feel like age is, I don't think I've got too old for this. I'm saying that.
But
I'm accepted. And no one ever makes me feel like I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I'm past having good design ideas, because you never get past that, I don't think.
No. And I think kind of something with you, you've got so much passion and so much love for what you do. And, you know, I think, you know, one thing with you and Hamish, you know, things definitely come from the heart. But, you know, I think too, for me, it's really important to kind of break the stigma. Age really is just a number, you know, kind
Absolutely.
of, it's
Absolutely.
an attitude, you know, kind of, as far as you're concerned, I'd say 22, 25.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to think, isn't it funny, because I think with working with Hamish, I think we're probably really totally on the same wavelength. I actually think now, probably at one stage I used to think, well, you know, it was good. I probably brought him back to earth a little bit over it all, and he also pushed my boundaries, you know, because of the age gap, which is really good for doing this. But I feel like now, like in the last 5 years, well, he's got a bit older and I've got older too, obviously, but we've probably met a lot more, you know, with, we complement, I think we complement each other well in what we're doing.
So I'm going to start wrapping up, but when are you going to retire? I hope never.
Never. Why would I retire? Because exactly. I am fortunate. My work is my passion, my love, you see.
Yeah.
And I think I'm lucky to be able to do that. I can work as much or as little as I like too, Henry, you know.
Cheeky.
When you're self-employed, you can.
No. And I think, you know, kind of what I really wanted to get out of this discussion is really, I think it's the most important thing of life. It is love. You know, love everything you do, love your family, design around it, design personality, you know, kind of be proud and be happy of who you are.
Without love, you've got nothing.
Exactly. So have you got anything else to say, or?
No, it's just nice talking to you, Henry, and we need to do it again.
No, definitely. So one other time, so I do have an incredibly funky friend, and I'd like to get you two together. She's looking at a place and she wants it kind of universally designed, but you know, I really want to, you know, kind of put it out there. Life isn't over, and there's so much magic everyone brings to life, you know, especially someone like you, and you're still a bit of a hero.
Oh, thank you, Henry. Lovely talking to you.
Okay. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed that. So that's Good Life by Design. Check out our channel on YouTube and please subscribe and like. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you've got any ideas that you want covered, or you want to find out more, you know, please get in contact. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you very much. And thank you so much, Adrienne. See you later.
Pleasure.
Bye.